Darren Harlow, 5 Arrows Tactical Training. Thought I would do a video on basic terminology that we use when talking about locks and lock picking. First off, this is a clear padlock so that way you can see what's going on inside. This is known as the shackle. In here we have the core, which is the brass part right there. We have the keyway inside there. This part where the pins are and the springs is called the Bible. Where the core right here meets where the pins are at is called the shear line. When we put a key in, we have the springs, we have the driver pins, and then we have the key pins. The key pins are inside the core and get lifted up to the shear line, which divides between the driver pins and the key pins. And then once we're dead lined up on there, we use torque to turn the core that opens the lock. When we pick a lock, we have to replicate the exact action. On the key, when we look at this, it's called bitting. That's the up and down part right here that sets the pins at their individual levels. When we pick the lock, we use what's called tension wrench. They come in various sizes, they come in various widths, strengths, etc. You'll find as you start picking more and more locks that the tension becomes as critical as what pick that you use. The previous example that I did with the Avis Discus had, it was all about the tension, and that's why I was finally able to get it. And as you start picking locks, you figure out which tension wrench does the best. For example, this one is decent feedback. One thing that you also learn to do when you're new at lock picking to learn how much tension to use is take your tension wrench, put it in the key, and practice just turning it with the key if you have it. That gives you the exact amount of tension, because if that's what opens the lock with the key, then that's what you should be replicating. Every lock is different, different manufacturers are different. That's a good way to learn. So when we pick open the lock, on this one I'm going to use this other cheaper kit that I have. It's been working very well for this particular practice lock. Put the tension wrench in, hold it at the proper tension. And this one I'm going to rake. See if I can get it real quick. And you'll feel it when it pops. Here, the pin's resetting. A little bit too far in. Tension wrench keeps sliding on me a little bit here. There it goes. What we did was rake to get these pins to set, and then use the tension wrench to finish turning the core. When we're picking a lock, what your goal is with the tension wrench is to move the core just slightly, because you want to, there's machining imperfections in the way the pins line up. You might even be able to see it right there along the top. They're not all perfectly centered just because of the way it's done. And so you want those pins to just come up at the shear line and then bind a little bit, so that way when they're all lined up you can turn the core. This is a type of a little cheap rake right there. This is a hook that we use for lock picking, for single pin picking in. This is what's called a worm or a snake. See by the shape. This is known as a city rake. Some of the other things that we look at is in the keyway. You notice how this one, I'm showing the back because it makes more sense to show. See how it's curved and goes up, which makes picking a lot more difficult. On the front, it's not as apparent, but it's the same keyway all the way through. You can also see it on this lock as well. In a future video, we'll talk about the different types of pins and what's inside. One other thing that we recommend is people ask what's a good starter kit to get. A company called Sparrows Lockpicks. They're out of Canada. So if you order in the US, you save a little bit of money in the conversion rate. Sparrowslockpicks.com. We'll include a link in the video. They have a tuxedo kit, which is what this is based off of, and it's a fantastic starter kit. Can't recommend them enough. We use them along with Peterson tools for a lot of things, but Sparrows is a perfect place to start for a very fair price. We look forward to your feedback.